All right, welcome to another edition of Rivals. I'm Scott Mitchell. That's Jakin Lufon.
Jason Buck.
Jason Buck, yes. We've been actually finding out Jason's family names, and oh my. We're not going to get into it today because
we could do a show on it.
We'll go way down the rabbit hole.
Thanks, Mom.
Yes. So I saw this social media tweet, and it said, just like that, we've now all become Rams fans. Because, of course, everyone hates the Patriots, and they are sick of Tom Brady, and they don't want the Patriots to win. But let me tell you this, and it really struck me after watching the end of that game. I think the greatest attribute of Tom Brady is winning never gets old to him.
Yeah.
Like he's going to the Super Bowl, and the excitement and the exuberance, he acted like it was the first time he'd ever been there. And he's passionate about winning and about what he's doing, and so many players, great players, and you look at him, you go, they'll win the Super Bowl every year because they're so good. The Montanas and some of these players, and they've only won 3 or 4, or you look at these great teams, you look at the '85 Bears, and you just said that team is going to dominate forever, and they won one Super Bowl.
They won one, and it disintegrated.
And this guy's going to his 9th Super Bowl, and he's acting like it's his first one.
Another thing I caught was in preparation for the game. Go back, a week, and he was saying, "Hey, people think we're no good," right? So he's emoting this, right? That people think we're no good. He's using the right mental preparation and getting a chip on his shoulder and everything you have to do emotionally to get ready to play a game. So he on that hand, just like you said here, he was like, hey, he's putting the chip on their shoulder. They're preparing for this game. People don't think we're good or we're old and we're gone. You know what they're saying in the locker room there. And Belichick, and they came out with a chip on their shoulder, and they played hard and won that great game in Kansas City. And now he's, like you said, he's like a little kid in a candy store and excited about this game. I think it's just a great attribute, tribute to.
Yeah, after a while you would think, it just gets old hat. I'll just go down the field in overtime and score a touchdown. And the pressure of having to do that, to go to the Super Bowl, and to be able to have that focus and that concentration, that drive, and that just calm in that situation. Dude, and no moment was ever beyond him, but it was the excitement after. And I'm of the camp, like, I get why people hate the Patriots and Tom Brady and all this stuff. I will tell you, a year ago I just said, this is remarkable. I mean, it's
so
beyond remarkable.
It's so remarkable.
You've been to 2 Super Bowls, and you've won one and you've lost one, and you know how hard it is.
So hard to get back.
To get there. I know how hard it is to get to a Super Bowl.
There's so many factors in it.
And I played on really good football teams that never even got close to a Super Bowl.
Don't get close. And then you got to stay healthy, and your free agency, takes players, and there's how does you got this. New England's done such a fantastic job from the top office, right, to the management level, to the coaches and Belichick and the players, and how they've kept that system so consistent. Because you might have a great team put together like we did on the Super Bowl 23 team at Cincinnati with old Paul Brown still around. I still, say a lot of it was because of PB. He passes away, and then that whole team disintegrates like overnight. I mean, just getting rid of players. And the Redskins, we got back to the playoffs the next year after the Super Bowl, but we're getting more injuries, right? And the year after that, we had a bunch more injuries. And so you get to be able to have the management on the right page with the player personnel, right, and the general manager, and then the coach is just unbelievable that New England has that formula, has been that consistent, and you can't. That's why there's nobody like
it's
them.
A formula, and
I have
we've
so
talked
much
a lot
respect
about
for it.
and we talked a lot about it, about how their formula is repeatable.
Yeah.
It's like as long as they have the consistency of the Belichick systems, and of course as long as they have Tom Brady at quarterback, they'll plug in all those other parts.
They plug in those other players. You talked about how
they'll figure it all out.
You talked about last week how they bring in those journeyman players from around the league, old veterans that have proven themselves.
Who know how to play.
And they know their personality by then, right? They can do their research on these people and
they
know
what they're really going to do in an NFL environment.
Yes. And they come in and it's championship after championship after championship after championship. And I'm telling you, I just become such a fan of Belichick because of this, because there's so many things he does that's very Joe Gibbs-like, in his formula. And the way he called that game. the way he managed the clock, they came out there and just ate that clock up and kept Mahomes off the field. And I went, that is genius. And the discipline of their offensive coordinator and their whole game plan, and they stayed with it all the way to the end. They do it right.
So there's an observation I have, and I've noticed it over the course of years. And it held true again this year. And I should have mentioned it earlier. You look at the two teams in the Super Bowl. You have the Patriots and the Rams, and there's a common thread between the two of them that happened maybe early part of December. So here, the Patriots, they lose early, but then they just get on a roll, and you go, man, the Patriots are really with it. And then kind of that early December, they falter. And everyone goes, oh, yeah, see, they're maybe not quite the team we think they are. And the same thing happened with the Rams were like 11-1.
Yeah.
Right. And then they get in that early part and they lose back-to-back games, and they look, and Jared Goff looks kind of iffy, and this team's not looking all that great. And if you go back in the history of teams, probably since, I don't know, maybe the post or right around the mid-'80s, you'll see these teams that'll go through the season and they're clearly the best teams in the league. And they'll have this moment of lapse. They'll have that 1 week where nothing just seems to go right. And it's usually that first part of December, but it's the thing that snaps them right back into their focus.
Wake up call.
And then they just say, hey, so they dial it in. It's like Tom Brady goes, everyone thinks that we suck, right? We're not any good because of what's and that literally happens to those teams. And I can show you year after year after year these teams that just go and like Kansas City has been the opposite of that. They never really had that moment in the season where they were like they had that kind of meltdown bad game. And they end up having it in the championship game. Yeah. And you can't have it then. You've got to be and you look at the Saints. And the Saints kind of were going along and they never really had that moment, that reset, that readjustment, that, let's get our focus back. And so it's an interesting thing. I always like to watch later part of the season. All right, these teams that are really good, are they going to have that moment where they falter and they need to reset? Yeah. And you can almost 100% guarantee when that happens, that team's going to go on and they're going to play in the Super Bowl. And a lot of times they'll actually end up winning it. We talked about the '85 Bears.
Yeah.
And they had one loss late in the year to the Miami Dolphins, and it was like, oh wow, we could be which is really
the best thing that happened to them,
right?
Because it's that wake up call that just resparks the.
But it's got to happen kind of early to see. You can't have it in the playoffs. You got to have it so you get enough time to just get back in that rhythm and really right the ship. And I think as much of anything that's happened this year, because I believe these two teams deserve to be in the Super Bowl. I really do, because they figured it out, and they figured out how to right that ship and really get to and win a championship. And so I'm not surprised by it. All right. We now have to pick who we like in the Super Bowl.
I actually coached with McVay and a couple of the other coaches at the Rams, as an intern a couple years ago out when they were still at the Redskins. Great guy. All of them are great guys, the coaches that I got to work with. So I have a little personal thing there with them, and I'm happy for them. But, dude, I'm going with New England. I love Belichick's system.
I'm so glad you're going with New England.
Yeah, I just love their system. I love he reminds me so much of Joe Gibbs in his philosophy and his approach to the game, and I'm just in love with it because I respect it so much, and I don't think you can count them out. Their game planning, their defense, their defense is playing really good right now. So I think they'll come out with the twists, that are going to, mess with Goff and the Rams' heads. I think they'll shock them. They got the experience, and I'm going with New England.
So I couldn't agree with you at all.
Of course, quarterback versus D lineman.
But I'll tell you why. And after I'm done, you're going to switch your pick. I'll just tell you right now.
You always have them with a good argument.
Of course, yes.
But come on, Belichick, their game plan, they manage the clock, they're disciplined.
All right, so if you're going to beat Tom Brady, because this is about how do we handle Tom Brady. If you have a defensive front four that can put pressure on Tom Brady without having to blitz, and you can cover, and then you can beat them. And it's been proven the New York Giants did it with a team that was like undefeated at the time. There's no way in the world anyone can beat Tom Brady right now in this New England Patriots team, except if they can do this. If they can cover, because if you have to bring linebacker or secondary pressure, Tom Brady's going to eat your lunch, right? He's going to eat your lunch. But if you can get pressure, and I think that the front four of the Los Angeles Rams have the ability to do that. And I don't think it's necessarily Arnold, right?
Yeah.
Because he will get doubled, which is going to leave someone by themselves. And I'm just telling you, Tom Brady is going to feel that pressure from that front in the Super Bowl. Adama Suh has been so underrated this year, and he's got to just be loving life because of the pairing he has there. I mean, this is and not only is this front good, that whole defense is really good. And here's the other side of it on the offensive side. The Rams are a balanced team. They're not one-dimensional, and this is a hard matchup for Bill Belichick. And I think he's going to pick his poison. He's going to say, Jared Goff has got to beat us. We're not going to let the running game. We're not going to let Todd Gurley beat us. And I believe that Jared Goff has proven that he's ready to handle that, because if you have a good running game, you're going to get some really solid throws. And so if they have to give up something to stop the run, you're going to get one-on-one coverages. You're going to see some really big chunk plays by the Rams offensively, I believe. And I believe for those two reasons, this is going to be, I just don't see how the Rams cannot win this game.
You don't see how they cannot win this game?
They will absolutely win.
No. I mean, I think I like your argument. I like Sue. I like Phillips. I think he's a great defensive coordinator.
Bill Belichick has been there a million times, and Tom Brady.
They're going to look how they controlled the clock against Kansas City.
Okay,
they will come out. They run
but Kansas
the ball
City's
well.
Defense and
balance it well.
They're not the same team. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
And
Rams
know how to beat Tom
defense
Brady.
is much better than Kansas City.
Put the pressure on him and cover in the secondary. The Rams can do that. I'm going to tell you, they're going to win.
If they can pull that off, but.
They're going to pull it off.
And there's obviously, I hope for, because really what this does, your argument and mine and what we see in analysis, you don't look at that and go, one team is going to blow out the other team. I mean, the matchup looks
It might be a blowout.
The matchup looks like a great matchup.
No,
I would be shocked to see a blowout. I'll bet you it'll be very similar to the AFC, NFC Conference Championship games.
I'm not sure the NFL has ever had a season where they've had as many really good teams and good matchups in the playoffs all the way through the whole playoffs. It was a great, an excellent.
Oh, right. I watched the playoffs, Scott, and I was
every week.
No question, this is the greatest sport on the face of the earth. I mean, it was just the playoffs were fantastic. I hope the Super Bowl is the same.
All right, this round of rivals is over.
It's over, and we're off to our corners.
He's Jason Buck.
And he's Scott Mitchell.
And no one else could be like Jason Buck.
And we look like we're related, right?
Not really. But we are. Unfortunate or fortunate. All right, you can find us on those social sites, Rivals Podcast and At The Rivals Show on Twitter. Also, get on that smartphone of yours and dial in and find us, rate us, like us, because we like you. And until then, we'll catch you soon.